Good morning. As I said in the first service, you can see I was not called to pastor since it's difficult for me to see over the pulpit. But I was called to minister, as we all were. I'm here to tell you about Huntsville Assistance Program, what we do, why we do it, and for whom we do it. First, I need to give you a little background of my own self so that you know why I'm so terribly passionate about what I do. How I know that this is my God-given mission, why He chose me, why He feels like that I am worthy to do this, but I am humbled and honored to do it. Huntsville Assistance Program was started 20 years ago. 7 churches in the southeast of Huntsville came together because they had all experienced people that would go from church to church to church to get what I call the cream off the top. And it became a constant, and they decided we need to talk to each other. We need to find out, how often is Mary Smith going to your church? And is she going from your church to my church? So they came together and decided they would form a coalition, so to speak. And at that time, I was brought on as the director. The first thing I said is, why would you limit this to the southeast of Huntsville, when notoriously that is your more affluent area in Madison County? And they said, if you think you can make it grow, go for it. We have grown from 7 churches to now over 70 churches. We started out as the little guy. We now are the largest non-government benevolent agency in Madison County. We do not get any funding from the government. We do not get any food from the food bank. I tell people the only entity that we answer to is God. Because all of our funds come from the churches, from individuals who know what we do and appreciate what we do, and from grants that have no strings attached. So we stand proud and firm in the fact that we don't belong to United Way. We don't belong to any of the organizations that could dictate this is for whom you do all of your services and how you are to conduct those. God has directed us. We never open the doors to hap that we don't pray. Guide us, show us what is the way that you want for us to go down this pathway. And the doors, we are constantly busy. We interview over 30 people a week, usually 30 to 45 people a week we interview that are in need of financial, sometimes it's spiritual. We do a lot of spiritual counseling. This is part of what being a missionary, a hometown missionary is about. It's taking the gospel outside the walls of the church and letting people know this is what a Christian looks like. You know, it's not a sour-faced person that runs around in a dolesome. It is somebody who is so happy to be here to be able to spread the gospel. So let me tell you what we do at Huntsville Assistance Program. We started at the one church, which is now at the Central. And it's right there next to the library downtown, right in front of the public library. About 9 or 10 years ago, I was asked, would you bring and start an office up in the north part of the county, up around Tony or Hazel Green in that area, which is a very depressed, probably the most depressed area in Madison County. A lot of poverty, a lot of drinking, a lot of drugs, a lot of domestic violence. I come from a very happy family. I got involved in domestic violence, wrote a program to take it all over this United States to help people get out of domestic violence before they get so entrenched in it that they won't ever get out. And so there's just so much that is, as I say, I can look back on the first breath I ever took and knew that this was to be my mission. Everything that has ever happened in my life has prepared me to do exactly what I am doing now. So when we opened the place up in the north part of the county, we started helping people up there. There's a lot of poverty, a lot of poor people. Poverty is a way of life in the north part of the county. It's the way we've always lived. We had a little worn-out farm. Granny used to have a little garden. If she needed something, she'd go to the church. The church would provide. We'll pay your utilities, we'll pay your lot rent, we'll do there was very little education. Education is something that we have to push. People have got to stay in school. If you want to move forward, you've got to stay, and particularly in Madison County, we are a high education level. So we started that. We help a lot of people up there. We have a food pantry up there. And about maybe 5-6 months ago, they asked me if I would come to Madison. I wanted to come to Madison 10 years ago, but that was my time, not God's time. When the door was open this time, I scurried through and said, here we are. And we're really happy to be over here to help the people in Madison County and in Triana. You know, Triana has never been served. And I said that is the primary. We need to get people entrenched over there in moving forward and becoming part of the unified congregation. We have been segregated too long. We need to be united. You know, I had the great grace of being born to a family with a grandfather that said, we are all connected. What affects you affects me, affects the man over there in Europe, in China, wherever. And I think a lot of our problems today, if we've lost that connection, you know, it's become a generation of, it's all about me. It's all about what makes me happy. It's every man for himself. It cannot be that way. So let me tell you what we do at HAP. We answer the 4 main entities in anyone's life. Number 1, every place that we're located, we have large pantries. You can come in, we will load you down with food twice a year. We do not give food more than twice a year to a family. We want to teach you how to do the best for yourself. We keep the records for the food line, for most all of your agencies that are doing benevolence like we are. We have 50,000 names in our in-house database. It never goes out on the internet. I don't want it exposed to other people, but I can tell you how many times. Are we united in helping that family move forward? That's the whole goal, help you move forward. We can help you financially. Sometimes we pay all, sometimes we pay a portion of a rent, a utility, a mortgage. You know, there's something to be said about getting you to pay $10 on something. You've bought into the cure. You've bought into helping yourself. You got a $500 bill, but if you can pay $10, you feel better about yourself because I've helped myself. And so we help you financially. We help you emotionally because we really, really listen. I'm very particular about how people who are doing the interview process, they don't ever destroy anybody's self-esteem. Don't ever bring them down. Lift them up. You know, there's just little things that I am very adamant about how people are treated when they come in. Number 1, even though I put it in the 4th position, is we are God's emissaries. Nobody comes into a HAP office that they're not asked, do you have a church? Well, I know where you live. So we don't expound on any denomination, but you live in this area. Visit every church. Visit every church in that area. When you find the church that you get the, that's your home church. You know, you have a piece of the puzzle. That church isn't complete because you're not there. You've got to take that piece of the puzzle and put it in that church. I happen to belong to First Baptist. We have a woman over there. She's in charge of the tablecloths. Thank you, Kay. And thank you, God, that's not my mission. But you better not do anything that requires using a tablecloth that you don't go through her. That is her piece of the puzzle. And I ask everyone, do you have a church? Well, I go to church. But are you churched? I don't know what you mean, are you churched? Do you take it beyond the walls? Do people see Christ in you as you walk your daily pathway? That's the important part, is to take that mission outside the walls. And that's what we do when we leave the offices of the HAP buildings, is take it outside. Let people see that we are Christ's emissaries, that we don't leave it there. We want you. I know you pray when you eat out. How many of you ask? How many of you ask your server, would you like to pray with me? I've only had one person turn me down. I had one lady fell on her knees and cried. How did you know? I said, I didn't know, but Christ knew. He knew I need to bring a message to you. So it's an all-encompassing, daily way that you live your life. And we learn that by giving to others, by helping that others up the rung, up the pathway, up doing the very, very best that we can do to help you to do the very best that you can do. While we're here for the glorification. As you can tell, I love what I do. I am so happy and hope that your church will become a part of Huntsville Assistance Program. We are always in need of people who love others, who want to be part of the community, who want to help others on the pathway. There are so many slots that we have. We have greeters. Every time the doors are open, somebody's there to say, we're glad you're here. And just a smile and a hug. Nobody leaves a HAP house without a hug to let them know we may be the only one that gave them a hug that day, but they know that there is somebody out there that's praying for them, that loves them. I'm honored to be here. All I can say is when I was at Nativity, they had a little step stool for me to stand on so I could be very tall. I thank you all very much for allowing me to come.
And now let us affirm our faith.